What's up? What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 30 of my journey building my own AI native search platform. It's a startup that I started by myself as a one person company. I have no funding, and I am just building it by myself. I quit my Google search job a couple of years back, thinking it's time to build a small company alternative to search. And here I am. Here I am. There's some big players in the AI search industry. We've got Google, Perplexity, but also all the AI chat apps. They all can do search. But I wanted to think about this from the ground up, how I would build it, and how I would design it, and how would I craft the user experience. And it turned out I had so many ideas that none of the existing apps or platforms, none of them had it. And I didn't think they would implement it. And some of them were so diverging that the direction that I want to go was very different than the direction that the other chat apps and search apps have already taken. Like Google, the direction they've taken. Um, yeah, I don't want to take that direction. So um, here I am, just building this thing by myself. And I've said this in the past. It's been the best decision of my life. I am in late development and testing. A lot of it is already built and a lot of it already works. And today I want to talk about one critical subcomponent of this entire sort of search platform, which is what I call an internal knowledge base. So, what do you expect from a search app? You should be able to search for anything, right? And then you get a response. Awesome. Now, um, as a small company, there are some problems that just a general web search doesn't really solve. Also, just me being me, I wanted to solve some things differently than, like I said, the big players are doing. And this is why we need small players. We can think differently. And you must be thinking, why an internal knowledge base? Like, why should I have? First of all, what is a knowledge base? It's just, think of it as a bunch of private documents that I want also to be in the index, in the search index. And the idea is that if something matches, it should be part of the search response in the AI chat response, AI search response. However, you think of it as a chat app, search app, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, is information, and it's information that you are getting when you're interacting with these AI apps. And in the future, it could be a robot. You could be talking with a robot, and a robot's using my platform to answer. Um, and so, why a knowledge base? Like, why a bunch of documents that you don't find on the web? Well, a couple of reasons. One, if someone asks what my company is or who I am, I don't have much of a presence online today. No one will know me. Also, my name's so common and popular in the sense that I share with so many other people that inevitably the wrong people will surface if they search for my name. Also, my company name, I'm not yet revealing the brand, hopefully soon. So right now I just call it Snazzy AI Search, but that's the code name. Um, yeah, actually, a nice name, actually, Snazzy Search. But no, it's a code name. If someone searches, what is it? How is it different? There's nothing on the web on it. And so my own search platform won't be able to give a good answer. So that's one of the main reasons I need an internal knowledge base. The idea is that I can craft what is a snazzy search, um, and I can write a document, put it in my own knowledge base, and my own search platform will pick it up and we'll use it to answer, and so you get a good answer. Now, there are some other use cases for having an internal knowledge base. You could have lots of like documents that you think um, you want to surface that's either relating to your company or relating to some of the the product, some features that the product supports, things that it doesn't support, basically anything about you, your company, your product. You could have a whole instruction manuals, all of that. You could surface it in even legal documents if they're public facing. You can surface it, like privacy policy. I can surface my privacy policy uh, in the knowledge base, like I can save it in the knowledge base, and then users can ask, what does my Snazzy search app store? and it'll be able to answer it because it has my privacy policy in the knowledge base. So you can basically interact with your own documents. In my case, my own company documents, and none of my company is not very popular. It's not even out. It's not even public. So that's a big problem you can solve with internal knowledge bases. And then there are some other problems. What if you have some really fresh content, something big events happening, something important's happening? um, you can just save those documents, the latest document that you want in the internal knowledge base, and it should ideally override what's on the web. And so this way you don't run into the problem of surfacing stale info on the web. Third thing is you could just have a script that runs in the background that collects latest news, what's trending, all of that, and just dumps it in your internal knowledge base. So this way, if someone asks what's trending or what's in the news, your internal knowledge base will just be able to answer it and pick it up, even though web search may be behind. Because keep in mind, for someone like me, and even Perplexity has their own index, but they still use other search APIs. And you can't rely on other API, like completely rely. They may return stale information. They may also prioritize their own products. So like if I'm using Google's API, which I don't anymore because it killed it, um, they may not like surface the freshest result in the API that I use. Even though if you go to google.com, you'll see the most recent information for lots of reasons: cost, effort, priority. They don't want to prioritize, folks like us who are API developers. They don't expect people will build a competitor search app using their own APIs, or maybe they expect, and that's why they shut it down. I don't know. So that's another reason why this is so powerful. And actually, I don't know. As far as I know, Perplexity also has an internal knowledge base. I haven't read about it. I was just interacting with Claude, and Claude found something and said, "Yeah, something, something." But regardless, it doesn't matter. Um, I'd be surprised if Perplexity doesn't have a solution like that. Obviously, mine is very simple. It's just a data store, a bunch of documents that I can throw. Perplexity does everything like 10 times more sophisticated, I would think. But what matters is the result, the outcome at the end. And when I test this product's response with Perplexity, just the basic, not the super advanced models, or Google, it's on par, in some cases even better. And even though it's not better, I'm very confident it will be down the road because of just the decision making, the simplicity, and the user centric process that I'm using to build this thing. And user centric is the key. Keep the user in mind, not growth in mind, and then build what's right. Build in a way that's transparent, build in a way that's trustworthy, build in a way that puts the user first from an ethics standpoint. And I think that will get me users. I'm very confident because I myself want something like this. If I was not building it, I would have loved a product like this. Okay, so that's an internal sort of the idea of an internal knowledge base. Now, how does it work behind the scenes? I want to show some architecture design docs, diagrams, I should say, and then some code. So here I am. This is sort of a high level overview. So the way it works is it's just a remote Google Cloud bucket. Remember I said it's just a bunch of documents that you store. The nice thing, by the way, is uh, I'm using Vertex AI Search, as you can see here. Vertex AI Search is just a database, a semantic database, or Vertex. Vertex um, vector search. I'm sorry, I need my coffee. A vector search database that is Google hosted, so I don't have to run it myself. It is expensive, so you shouldn't use it for. I mean, if you're a startup like me, you shouldn't use it for very uh, mm, like high usage scenarios because it is expensive. But in my case, this is not so much for high use case. It's just like I said, internal docs. Although I have to do a cost analysis. But anyway, I just use Vertex. I said, but you can use Pinecone. You can even use Postgres if you want. But ideally, some kind of a document store that can support vector embeddings and semantic search. So you can search semantically using vector embeddings. And there are lots of databases. There are lots of hosted services online that you can use. And you can use open source. ChromaDB is another one. You can just spin up your own. I actually have a local ChromaDB running on my MacBook that I use it for my private docs. And it works great, like my development docs. It's crazy. It works amazing. So you can use that as well. I'm just using Vertex Search because there is limited infrastructure I want to maintain because I'm a one-person company building the entire platform, the front end, and everything around it. And so this is the last thing I want to support. So that's what I'm using Vertex AI Search, but that's all it is. And the nice thing about Vertex AI Search is you can just point it to like a Google Cloud bucket and it picks it up. So in my case, that's what GCS is. It stands for Google Cloud Storage, but it's just a bucket in the cloud, a bucket or folder in the cloud where you can dump documents. And you can have nested folders, by the way. So it's just like a file system in the cloud. And even though it actually stores all flat, because I know how it's implemented behind the scenes. I should work for Google, but the key, the folder path becomes part of the key, and that's how they simulate or emulate um, nested folders. Anyways, so you dump your files. In my case, I have AI search about vFounder, so my profile, and then AI search FAQ, some FAQs I have. I just created some text files. I uploaded it in the bucket. And the nice thing is Vertex AI picks it up automatically as long as it's configured for a certain bucket parent folder. And it's like 1 to 2 minute latency. But you can also trigger it, like run a script, a command, and you can trigger the indexing as well. And so Vertex, but by default, you just dump it in. You can update the file in the cloud storage, and like I said, in a couple of minutes, Vertex AI will pick it up. And when in the future, when you search using Vertex AI search, the new documents results will surface. So from a um, um, oh, and then at the bottom, I have this tool. So I've written like a little script to kind of interact with it. But the idea is that at runtime, your application, in this case, my search application, calls Vertex AI search. In my case, it actually calls parallel with web search so that I get both results at the same time. I save some latency cost. So I call them both in parallel and then I join them, and then the rest of the pipeline proceeds. So the rest of the pipeline, it doesn't know other than just some metadata that, oh, this is a web search or it's like an internal knowledge based search. That's the beauty of it. And my architecture is such that these are all lanes, and I can introduce a third and fourth parallel source provider as well, and it kind of all works. So this is the nice thing of designing from scratch and having good architecture. I was a chief software architect at Ask Jeeves or Ask.com, which was another search engine um, from the early 2000s. I worked there for 7 years. So I have some experience in search, thankfully. Actually, not some, a lot of experience. So I just try to bring some of my experience in building this architecture. So that's that. That's it. That's it. That's all is architecture. And now I can throw anything about me. I can throw some trending stuff. I can throw some news in it. And if users search for information that triggers, like that matches any of that content, it'll surface it right away. I can also uh, have some metadata where I can give this internal content higher priority. So if something matches the knowledge base versus the web, give priority to the web during synthesis when the LLM produces the final response. I can kind of have instructions for that. And this way, this will override what's found on the internet. So that's pretty cool as well. So you can do some really nice things. The other thing I wanted to show was um, just a script. So what I'm doing is, again, this is where I differ. Everything is mine's simpler, more. I feel mine's like a more beautiful architecture than Google's, and definitely Google's. I don't know Perplexity's, but yeah, if I were to guess, probably even Perplexity is very simple, straightforward, nice and clean, well designed, and it's designed from with AI in mind, and it's built with AI from the ground up. So I have the benefit of that, and I've totally taken advantage of it. So here's a script that I use. So this is, again, if you think about you or me, and you just have another internal document that you want to store and surface it to the search backend so that it can pick it up. Maybe I have my travel plans. I don't know why I want to throw it in, but if someone asks, what is V doing today? Is he traveling somewhere? Well, if I throw this document, the my search backend, my search AI platform will be able to answer it, which is crazy. So yeah, be careful. We have to be careful. I have to be careful what I throw in. But essentially, this script is pretty simple. This I think this is for testing purposes, but these are the kind of queries that you can ask. Um, but what I want to show is, sorry about the scrolling, 1 second. Yeah, this is where the sort of all the setup happens. Oh yeah, here you go. So the script I've written is very simple. You can upload all documents in a folder. You can upload a single document. You can list all documents that are in your knowledge base, and you can delete a document in your knowledge base, and you can test your search. That's about it. It's very simple, and you can verify. So that's about it. Very simple. And so if you go back up at the top, these are the commands. That's it. That's it. So I have my own this with this kind of worked out. I have my own internal knowledge base. I can just interact with it very simply using this script. And I use UV. I love UV. So I just use UV run Python. Hey, upload this doc. Boom, done. List all the docs. List everything. Delete a doc. And every doc is an ID. That's kind of make it so that you can point to it. And you can verify, you can test queries. So like you can run a test query, what is V up to, and it should match, right? And that's about it. So that's it. And the last thing is how this sort of manifests in code. So this is like my a handler that basically triggers the entire search experience as well as the server-side events, the SSE events that you see in the UI. So everything is ground up, built from the ground up. I'm not using libraries or some tool or some other platform to kind of wrap up my search. It is kind of built from the ground up. So I have full control. And so here, what you see is all I do is, yeah, and remember, this is ran in parallel to web search. I'm not showing that code, but you can imagine it just uses async to call both in parallel. That's about it. So this code is run in parallel to web search. And all I do is import internal KB search, and then I just call and wait for, and wait for simply because it's obviously async. And so I call with the query, and then I say, give me 5 results. That's configurable. Maybe I should make this more than 5. I don't know. Right now it's 5. And then that's about it. And then I do some other things, but at the end of the day, you get some you may get some results back, you may not. If you do, I just append it to the list of sources and then emit the source and send it to the rest of the pipeline. And the rest of the pipeline can do whatever it wants to do with it. And then it's also available at the very end of the query pipeline where the final AI response is produced, where the snippets are available, or maybe it can be mutated also throughout the pipeline. But it's available so that the final response can be generated with this in mind. So that's about it. It's that simple to introduce your own private internal knowledge base. The nice thing also is it's pretty secure. All the internal documents are never directly exposed to users. So your private documents are private. One question you may have is, let me go back to the diagram. But one question I had was, what do I show as a source for this private information or internal knowledge-based information? And so I was interacting with Claude, and we were discussing 3 different options. And I haven't yet decided which option, but I think I'm close to picking one. But here are the 3 options. Like, what happens if your internal knowledge base matches something? What do you show to the user? Do you show the internal document, like you create a link and let the user browse that document? I don't want that because my document may not be formatted right, may not be designed in its entirety to be consumed by someone. So that's one option. The other option is you can create a link uh, and that maps to a public document that is more user friendly. And then I just have a mapping from private to public uh, document mapping, and I show that public document. So maybe there's an about page on my product, and so my about document just links to that. And so what the user sees, excuse me, I have some allergies. What the user sees is the public facing URL, and they can click on it and show. So that's an option. And the third option is there is no sort of source link for the user, and we just label it in the UI or in the response UX that, hey, this comes from an internal knowledge base. There is no URL. Like, there is nothing for you to click on to find more. It just comes from our internal knowledge base. So those are the 3 options I'm thinking about. Um, I almost wish I could do like a hybrid of 2 and 3. So some documents have a public link, like my about page or privacy policy, or what is my product, snazzy AI search. And so users can interact. And then there are some documents that I want to keep private. And so those documents I just show, this comes from my internal knowledge base. Like say, for example, what's trending on Twitter or X. I may have a lot of info in that doc. It's just meaningless to expose it. There may be some private stuff, I don't know, to show to the user. There shouldn't be any private stuff because anything in that doc can be matched by Vertex AI search and eventually could get surfaced to the user. So yeah, so there shouldn't be anything private in this internal knowledge base. But yet it may not be formatted, it may not be very clean. It probably has its files too big. It's just not a great experience. You just link it raw. Maybe it's a JSON file, by the way. Vertex AI, you can throw JSON docs. A lot of these data stores, Vertex data stores, you can store uh, um, JSON and PDFs and all kinds of docs. So what if it's JSON doc? When the user clicks on it and opens a JSON doc, it's useless. So that's why I want a hybrid. There's some docs that are public. I'll have a public facing URL. That's what I want to show in the UX. The user clicks on it, they can find the entire privacy policy. They can find the entire about page. They can find out more about me, maybe my LinkedIn, something, something. And then some content is not designed for public, like JSON data. And so there, if anything matches from the JSON, then we just show this comes from our internal knowledge base, something like that, some label. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm sure there are other options, but these are three I'm working with. But hopefully this gives you a peek into yeah, how I'm building this. And as you can tell from my tone, I get very excited. I get giddy. I've shared this before. If I worked for a big company, like even if I worked for Perplexity, I don't know if Perplexity would even hire that. And at this stage, I want the whole thing. I want to see the whole thing. I want to optimize certain parts, and not just that. I want to build something that's aligned with my vision and my values and what I think um, the next sort of decade and more will need. And the only thing that comes back to me user centric and transparent um, AI applications. So like in my case, I have four pillars, what I call three pillars and a dotted pillar, but in essence, four pillars. One is transparent. So everything we do or I do or the backend does needs to be transparent. Like if I store something for your future personalization, I have to highlight it that I stored this. If you want, you can delete it. Anything else like privacy policy, etc. All of that you should be able to ask. That's why I have the internal knowledge base. Think about it. You can ask, what exactly does my snazzy search store? How can I delete it? And it'll be able to answer it. Um, so yeah, transparent. Control is the second pillar. So you have to give user, all these pillars are user related. That's why I call it a user centric. And I actually call this a mantra, manifesto for building what I call micro